Cool. Welcome to the Live Beyond podcast. I think we've got well into our new home now. Second interview happening in the new studios, very elaborate, quite fancy, I must say.
It's a work in progress.
Work in progress, right? Yeah.
Oh, you've got to start somewhere.
I like the work.
You like the work. You like the work. And we've got an absolutely amazing guest with us today. He goes by the name of Xoli Madi, who hails from the now paved and the mall streets of Soweto. Stands as an independent ICT industry leader with more than 18 years of professional experience. He's a seasoned athlete. He's a 3-time Comrades marathon finisher with almost an hour improvement each time he took on the ultimate human race. Xoli is a general lover of humankind, a firm believer that hard work and dedication always trump talent. His background is rooted in a love for sports, having played hockey, rugby, soccer, tennis, and now exploring the world of triathlons. Xoli's interests traverse topics of living a balanced but very active life, underpinning his belief that health is obviously wealth. And despite his busy professional life, he finds time to be a devoted family man as well as a community servant, embodying the principle that greatness is achieved through unity and serving others. Xoli, thank you so much for joining us and welcome.
Welcome.
Beyond.
Thank you, gentlemen, for having me.
We finally get to talk to you. I've had the pleasure of training with Xoli for I think it was half Ironman earlier this year.
Yep.
And I've had the pleasure of actually witnessing, the grit and dedication. And I always use Xoli as an example of someone who's just, you just go for it, dude. We're so inspired. But anyway, welcome.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We get to know
for having me.
a lot more about you today.
Definitely.
And where you hail from.
Definitely.
And basically what makes you Xoli. So, yeah.
Those dusty streets of Soweto, when you're running around in Santa Lumka, only feeling nyana. Only feeling nyana.
So where you from originally?
I was born at Ladi.
Right.
Smack bang in the middle of Soweto.
Mm-hmm.
I was then raised in Pimville and Mdeni. So my maternal grandmother was actually Mdeni. My paternal grandparents were actually in Pimville.
Oh, okay.
And then later on, my folks also stayed in Pimville Extension, which would be Besta.
Yeah.
I was raised there a good part of my childhood.
Were you brought up by your grandparents? Because
Possibly.
that's our story, right?
Yeah, so
Except for Macfarlane, who he was brought up.
I was brought up by private boarding schools.
Private boarding. So
Porch boys.
I was actually, pretty much brought up by my gran up until I was around 11. Then I actually moved in with my folks.
Right.
My folks were obviously, I think, a street across
Right,
from where my grandmother was. So I actually even went to school in Lokshin in Pimville.
Yeah.
So kind of got exposed to the rough and tough love that you actually experience, in the hood, so to speak. So for me, being exposed to that kind of life at an early age, I kind of had two contrasting worlds, because if we actually then delve deeper, our lives before Immortal Sea, we were smack bang Elokshini, the corporal punishment was very normal.
Yeah.
So, caning and...
Sorry about that.
Well, no problem. You went to Podge. So
there was no corporal punishment there.
So pretty much that is pretty much how discipline was instilled from a young age. Dedication to your schoolwork, your academics. For example, those early days kind of cemented the basics for me.
What were your parents doing at the time? Were they teachers? Were they? Because I mean, remember back in those days, they were a teacher, a nurse, policeman. So what were your parents doing at that time, and what role were they playing in your life?
So my dad was a banker.
Okay.
Believe it or not. So
fancy.
it sounds fancy. Just went for a bank. And my mom actually worked for a prominent watchmaker. So from there, they were both professionals. So I'd actually see them getting up, going to work each and every day. And on the other hand, being raised by my grandmother was somewhat of an entrepreneur. So at home, big thing, so I'm a cold drinky. And every once in a while would actually help out with I'm a keep. So
having to pack them, put them into little packets. Yes.
Packets. That was pretty much my life after school.
Yeah.
And she actually ran also another program as well, whereby she would go from one school to another, and she sold a makota. If she wasn't doing that, it was clothing. So that side I was kind of like exposed to earlier on in my life. So I have always known that, you know what, you need to really work hard each and every day. A decent living. So being exposed to that, I mean, that was pretty much where certain things were cemented in me as a child, which actually translate today, like having to wake up and get things done.
Yeah.
Were you athletic? Were you what were you doing that time? I mean, obviously, I can see you wake up, go to school, then go play soccer. That's it. But were you ever involved in sport? What were you doing as a young boy besides when I'm a keep?
Okay. And here's the interesting part. I wasn't really a very active sports loving type of child. I started off in, obviously, schools was like a lokshin, you know. My sub A, sub B, standard 1 all the way to standard 2, you'd get sports days.
Yeah.
You know, but what would happen with us in lokshin is that all the older kids, the ones with the soccer age, would actually be the ones who would participate in sports, or they'd be handpicked by the teachers.
Yeah.
And the teachers would identify them as being talented. How they would do that is, for example, they would say, okay, and you know, she sells maybe biscuits or sweets or whatever. She would then send those kids to a clip down. So I'm from Pimville. She would send them to a clip down and give them, like, for example, 50 rands to go and stock some items for her, the teacher. Depending on how quickly those kids would come back, I think that's how they actually picked who would be in the athletics team.
It's a big system.
There's a system called stress, you know? If you actually think about it, and it hasn't actually come to mind up until now. Now I actually think about it, I'm like, I never got sent. And those got to keep down your stock, you know?
Yeah.
And depending on how quickly, I know. I was actually, surprising enough, like, we would sit and it would be, you know what? I don't necessarily even know that I have an athletic talent. Or I'm competitive in nature.
Yeah.
We were never really exposed to that. TV showed us a lot of that. So one particular show that I actually remember growing up, I think it was Gillette World Sports Special.
My God, Jabulum Dala. And they would show everything. Remember, they would show like guys that are doing like any sport. I remember particularly, I don't know whether it was its opening link or something like that. They had the guys that used to do yachting. You remember? I think that was the opening scene. It was the first time I was exposed to yachting, and I remember I just find it fascinating that these people are in the middle of the scene yachting.
Right. Yeah.
Skiing,
Fencing.
Yes.
So all these sports, I actually used to sit on a Friday evening, and I would just be, because I was actually the only child for a good 6 years. So, you know, my mom would put the TV on, I'd be sitting there, I'm like, I'm going to do some of the stuff someday, I don't know when, but someday I'm gonna.
There's just something about it.
Something about it.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, growing up, being exposed to those shows, kind of like for me now, looking at it in hindsight, I'm like, in actual fact, these are some of the things that I actually promised myself that I'm actually going to do.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna sit behind a desk or on a couch and watch them. Now I actually want to do them.
You've got the capacity and the means to be able to do it. When you then transitioned from Ekasi to the Model C schools, was there any sport involved there? Because obviously then you got to get exposed to a different culture, different way of doing things, etc. What was that like?
Now, taking it back, just a little bit of a step back, all I was actually ever exposed to is my fellow black people, right? And now, a new world, the Model C world. And all I ever thought, and these are preconceived notions, that, you know what, the white folks, man, hey, they're smarter. You know, they get to do all these things. They are highly competitive because they are highly accomplished in some way or form. We were never really exposed to anything beyond like, say, look, Shane, you're gonna run that side and not do much else. So when I actually moved to a Model C school,
which school was it?
So I actually went to Craig Hall Primary School.
Okay.
And I got there and I was like, wow, these people are just like me.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, when you get there, you're there to actually also explore a little bit more about yourself. However, there's a way in which these Model C schools did it. So they'd have us do like 100-meter sprint.
Yeah.
You know, slot us into different houses. No, you belong to a green house, you belong to a red house, yellow house, and so on. And I just so happened to be the new kid, you know, in school. And obviously, being the new kid, they like clearly don't know what my talents are.
Yes.
And I don't know what my talents are. And I got into athletics. My first trial for 100 meters back then, I came, I think, second, right? Okay. And it was just trials.
Wow. Yeah.
You know? I was like, wow, okay, wow,
I can run.
I
could do this.
I can run.
They can send me to Klipspruit. Kliptown. They can send me to Kliptown.
Now they can send me, you know, they can send me to Parkhurst.
I love it.
So, in actual fact, came those trials, and they were happening on a Thursday, and on the Saturday was the sports day. Whereby you'll then start competing with all the different houses. And on sports day, I remember prior to sports day, I remember on a Friday stretching. You know, I'm like, you know, amping myself, thinking, you know what, I'm going to kick ass tomorrow. Yeah, you know, I came second, but you know what, I'm kicking ass tomorrow.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I came first the next day.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there was just something about that. I think the fire was kind of like lit in me to say, wow, you've actually got a talent. You can run.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I went on to become a fairly fast runner, whereby we would actually compete with other schools, and I'd be highly competitive, and I would get school colors and recognition. And from then on, like the light bulb kind of like went on.
Yeah.
I realized that I had so many talents, and the only thing that actually would then separate me from the next person is how hard I would actually work towards perfecting those talents.
Yeah.
You know, and for me that was like mind blowing, because it was practical. I didn't have to read it and understand it as theory. I actually was practicing.
You were living in the experience.
And I was actually living that experience.
And the evidence was there.
The evidence was there, and I was like, okay, looks like I'm a runner.
Yeah, we're here.
And subsequent to that, my brother actually also followed a similar path. And I was like, maybe it's genes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Conento.
Yeah, there's something there, and I was like, yeah, no, definitely it must be something, and it actually needs to get nurtured and worked on.
Yeah.
But Jabulu, you touch on something quite important here, because you left a world, right? Yeah, Kasi, Soweto, Kliptown, etc. We're introduced into this new universe, right? And you said it yourself. You got there and you were like, wow.
Yeah.
Right? And that speaks to, how little opportunity our people actually had, and what it actually means when you expose people to opportunity, what can become, right? Because I see that how important that transition was for you. Would you say then that was a pivotal moment in your life, and it changed who you are, and changed the trajectory of your life forever?
I would definitely say it actually did change the trajectory of my life. Reason being is because and I don't want to sound flippant about it. Like, we're so much in our corners. We like to stay in a comfort zone, if you will. And we never necessarily go out there to explore other areas of the world.
Oh, yeah.
For example, we're still stuck on Earth, and I'll use this. We're still stuck on Earth. There's moons. There's all sorts of types of planets that are out there. And that has been my experience, to say to myself, look, I may have been, and obviously not downplaying the efforts of my people, I may have been downtrodden or not exposed, but the minute that I actually got to be exposed, that actually changed my life.
Oh, yeah.
For the better, because I can then go to the next person who feels that kind of way.
Who feels downtrodden.
Who feels downtrodden, disadvantaged in some way, shape or form or other, and tell them that, look, the world is actually a very big place full of opportunities.
Oh, yeah.
And just put one step in front of the other. Go see what is out
there. Yeah. I'm just starting to think, how much, just pure environment, and a change in environment can actually just that, and it's so sad that for a lot of people it just doesn't click. I remember when we grew up in the Vaal.
Yes.
And there was a point in my life where actually and for me it was probably exposure. In bits and pieces, because I didn't used to come to Joburg all the time, but I used to have family. My aunts used to live, outside of the Vaal, in Ennerdale, south of Johannesburg. So I had a little bit of that, I could differentiate between what being in the Vaal is and how different being in a different environment like Joburg could be.
Yes.
And that just, I've always wanted to be like, I need to get out of here. And this is actually where I want to be.
Yes.
And, as soon as you have that realization, it can make a huge difference, right? But it's just unfortunate that a lot of people, like you're saying, will be stuck in that comfort zone. And a comfort zone it's because it's comfortable. You're not concerned about what lies behind it.
And are you propelled by it, though? Are you propelled by it? Because our biggest fear, and you openly talk about this, is I don't ever want to go back there.
Yeah.
It's home, my parents are there, etc., but I don't want to go back there. And back there is not a place. It's a mindset. It's environment. It's toxicity. It's not moving forward, etc. And not that the people that are there are like that, but for me, it feels like I'm going back, because how much there is out there actually, right. As you're saying, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. If anything, we all return back to Ekasi, go see your grandmother, go see your other relatives. But once again, it's pretty much a mindset thing, for lack of actually going further to explain what it really is. The mindset, that's one thing I've actually realized. Your mindset determines exactly what your future starts to look like. you can actually pretty much create your future using your mindset and working at it each and every single day. You know, and that's been my experience personally in my life and the journey of my life. You know, I mean, having obviously been exposed to Ilogish and then moving to the burbs now. You know, so shout out to the folks
in the burbs.
Yeah, they did well to actually, you know, now move to the burbs. They did well for themselves.
Yeah.
And obviously took us along. And when they did that, personally, I was very upset as a child because you're no longer exposed to the vibe. Yes, it's in the burbs. It's just quiet. You can hear your thoughts very clearly.
Yes.
And your thoughts can actually play mind games with you.
Yeah.
But you also get to meet yourself, right?
You truly get to meet yourself. Yeah. That's one thing. And it takes some time. You know, it doesn't happen overnight. You're not just a kid, you know, running in the dusty streets of Soweto. You can't wait to go and play. You know, your grandmother's like, hey. You got chores. You know, everyone had chores, and that's the thing. When you move from that environment, you miss it because it's actually quite a big part of you.
Yeah.
And when you move, it's like, you know, you have growing pains, and your mind will play tricks on you.
Yeah.
In actual fact, you're just growing and you're changing into a different person. You're pretty much morphing into a different person. And the contrast of the two, actually, for me personally, it kind of constantly reminds me of what is there and what is also possible. You know, so in my day-to-day life, I strive to actually find out, and I'm very curious about what is the next thing that I can actually do to actually challenge myself as I write my own story.
Yeah.
Is that how you then? I mean, obviously, you say you were a runner at school. You got to find out that hey, I'm a runner.
Oh, I can run.
Then, you know, it's one thing to be a runner and then to become an adult. You know, become a professional and then start doing endurance, right? You know, running long distance, 21 Ks, you know, 5 Ks, 10 Ks, 21 and now 42, and now, you know, the ultimate human race to go do Comrades, right? When did that journey start for you? Because a lot of the time we leave school and then forget about, you know, where we are, where we come from, etc. Get fat and, you know, buy cars and enjoy life. Yeah.
So in actual fact, the journey started just down the road. To be honest, I'd forgotten that life. Oh, you know what? I could run fast back in high school and primary school. And that's where it actually kind of ended.
Yes.
And then lockdown happened. And with lockdown, everyone was locked up. I guess locked down in a house situation. And when the first rules of lockdown kind of got relaxed, I then started walking. So I would walk.
Now, lockdown was like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Now,
like
2019 now.
3 years ago.
Like now.
Okay.
4 years ago.
Yes.
So, you know, I knew, you know what, I could run, but I could only run short distances. So I was a sprinter. So 100 meters, 200 meters, 400 meters, 800 meters. I never did the 1.5 and beyond the people's
Yes,
race.
yes.
I could never do that. I was just too unfit for it. I was good for the short distances. So going back to the walking, I started walking. I would walk about 11 Ks, and then for some time, a couple of months went by, I got bored. And I decided, no, it's actually time to run.
Yeah.
And by some coincidence, my neighbor was actually a runner. And she used to run she had actually done a Comrades before. And she was like, no, come through to the club and, you know, see what it's like. And then from there, I then decided, you know what, let me go try out this one weekend. I'll do a 5K. Yeah. 5K. that's the one.
Yes.
That's what I'm doing. And I didn't know any of the rules. I just thought, you know what? I just follow blue. Whoever is wearing blue, I'm just going to follow those people. They'll probably lead me back to where we started.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, we were starting at around, for example, Waterfall.
So which club is this?
This is Waterfall.
Waterfall Running Club. Yeah.
Yes, athletics club.
Yeah.
Shout out. Always wanted to say that.
That's your moment.
That's my moment, their moment. So I'd actually started with Waterfall, and I was like, no, we can. 5Ks. That's me, you know? And I actually ended up doing around about 25Ks.
When you had planned to run 5.
When I planned to do 5Ks, because I got lost.
Oh, okay.
Following the wrong people.
Familiar story.
Yeah. So
We've been there.
I got lost, and obviously my phone had died, and everyone was panicking. So I walk, casually back there. I'm like, hey, I won in Mall of Africa. Here it is. I'm getting there.
Wait.
This must be like 15
What
days.
happened? What happened to following the guys
The
in blue?
people, they started disappearing. And when they started disappearing, I'm thinking, no, this can't be. I saw some, and then I was actually thinking, no, I've gone too far. Because I ended up in Tembisa. For some strange reason, I was like, no, I can't run to Tembisa.
This is like running back to Soweto.
Yeah, I'm like, it doesn't make sense. I'm just going to turn. So I walked back, and I discovered I'd actually ran around 25, walked, combo, 25Ks. And I was like, oh, well.
And how were you feeling, right? How were you feeling afterwards?
I was feeling very proud.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, I could probably, start running.
But physically,
like
you were okay. So you're like,
physically, I was like,
was it
okay.
25Ks?
Yeah, I was like, oh, that was 25.
I can do this.
Okay, it's a combination. I could do this.
Yeah.
And segue into the next story, which then obviously I bump into this one old man that I actually used to work with, and he was like, "This year, Comrades is back. Are you doing it?" And I was like, oh yeah. That I'm doing. And this was around January, right? Obviously, everyone's back at the gym. They've got resolutions to live up to.
Yes.
So I was actually back in the gym around that time. Decided I've got a brand new pair of shoes. Let me put them on, and then I'll start running. So started running, got injured.
Yeah.
And started seeing specialists. And here's the thing about running injuries. You're like, but why? Maybe it's the shoes. And then I was like, then we start doing my research when it actually comes to the equipment that I'm supposed to be using to achieve this thing.
Yes.
Went and saw a physio. They referred me to a podiatrist. Podiatrist had orthotics made for me. And then I was back on the road. And this is now late Feb, going into March. Okay, you know what? We're doing Comrades this year. Yeah, I'm amped. And here's what actually started happening. I started entering races.
Yes.
Thinking that if you just run them, you know what? You qualify for Comrades. 4 races in, including Omdi Dam, which was an ultra, I didn't qualify for Comrades.
Yes.
Because the qualifying time for Comrades is 4 hours, 50 minutes. And I thought to myself, no, there is no way I've been running for this long, and I haven't qualified. So I had a race in mind that I actually said to myself, I'm going to qualify there. And that was Edenvale.
Yes.
Went.
The Johnson Crane, isn't it?
No. It was the Edenvale. It's actually an Edenvale marathon.
Yes, okay.
Johnson Crane happens on this side of town.
Yes.
And I went, and I just made it. So my time there was 4 hours, 49, 53 odd seconds.
Yes.
And I was like, ooh, I made it.
Yes.
I qualified. And with my qualification, I thought to myself, as long as I qualified, it means I'm going to go over there, I'm going to race this thing. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
That's all I need to do, because it's a bucket list item that I actually need to just check. I didn't know that I was actually setting myself up for pain with Comrades. This was my first comment.
Yes.
And the trickiest part about achieving anything is you get the odd negative people. You know, when you're a novice, for example, you'll go and ask everyone who has done it.
And everyone has an opinion, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So you're dealing with a million opinions, some very negative, because statistically, and this is the thing, statistically, and these are stats that they've gathered from the small group and themselves. You get people telling you, when did you start? March. There's no way you can finish Comrades. And they started in March. No way.
Nobody does Comrades in 3 months.
Yeah, 4 months. No, you need about 6 months, eh? That's how it goes.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about asking for advice. I always ask old people. I usually, because I would assume or imagine they are more experienced.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the answer was just like, no, dude.
You're gonna die.
Same answer.
You're not going to. You need a little bit. You need more miles. More kilometers. You need more.
Yeah.
You know, more of whatever.
More time on the legs.
Time on the legs. Yeah, all sorts, all types of theories as to why you will finish. Yeah,
And then what did you say?
I kept quiet.
Gets it enough.
Kept training.
You know what? I kept quiet, and I said to myself, you know what? I'm gonna watch each and every YouTube video on running. I'm gonna follow Coach Perry, and so I did a lot of research around running.
Yeah.
Ultras and the right equipment.
Yes.
And that year, 2022, Comrades was actually happening on the weekend of my 40th birthday. And I was like, let me gift myself with finishing this thing.
Yeah.
And that was my first Comrades.
Right. So take us through the race.
Oh, man,
Take us through the race.
It was. Here's the thing. I had decided, I'm gonna take family along, and against advice that comes from everyone, I was like, I'm taking family along. I'm gonna be walking the expo, and you're meant to elevate your legs.
Yeah.
The day before.
Yes.
Because you're gonna be running.
Not clogging miles at the expo.
Exactly, you're not really clogging miles at the expo. And so I actually decided, you know what, taking the family along, that's great. Woke up, got to the start. I'd never felt anything like that. I was so proud of myself. But, and here's the but I wasn't really, really, really sure if I would actually finish. Or, I had so many butterflies in my stomach, explaining that particular moment, at the start, and the gun goes off, and you just go and you're thinking, whoa, what have I got myself into?
Yeah.
Now, I was enjoying my race for the first 45 kilometers, more or less 45 kilometers.
It was all good.
It was all good. And then there's this Comrades tradition where you need to kiss others a seat.
Yeah.
That's where my problems started.
That's at about the halfway mark, isn't it?
Exactly.
Just before the halfway mark.
Yeah.
Just after the halfway mark, because there was a down run.
Yes, it was a down run.
Yes.
That's where my problem started. Now...
After you kissed Arthur's seat.
Exactly.
Yeah. That was the problem.
Yeah, it's like, Uba lo baba lo. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to forget about that. I've got my family here. I need to finish this thing. But then I had blisters on both my feet. Oof. Right underneath. Now, this is halfway. I'm like, how the hell?
How did you know that you had blisters at that point? Did you know, or did you find out at the end?
Because I'd stopped. I was like, I stepped on the chippies, but I was like, no, man.
It's not. It's
chippies. No, it can't be.
It's slippery in the shoe.
No, I was like, no, it can't be. So the one foot starts feeling that way, then the other foot starts feeling that way. I was like, I'm in trouble. But I came here to finish. I didn't come here to DNF. And you get those DNF buses, do not did not finish. Buses parked there on the side. I was like,
not getting into this.
This is one cab I'm not getting on.
So just for a minute to put this into perspective, right?
Yes.
For people who have not done Comrades. So Comrades that year, I think, was probably about 89 Ks.
Yeah. Almost.
So imagine running a marathon, and you're running the hardest marathon around, right? With lots of climbing. I think the climbing at about halfway is probably about 800, 900 meters total climbing, right? By the time you get to finish that marathon, you have to run another one.
It's a new marathon.
It's a new marathon.
Yes.
And you have blisters.
Right underneath my feet. So psychologically, I was saying to myself, I'm gonna be out. At around 48 or so, I ran all the way. And here's the thing about the mind. Each and every time I stopped, I would be in pain.
Yes.
But if I ran, the pain would go away.
Yeah.
You know, there was a moment where, like my family and my kids were actually on the side cheering, "Hey, go daddy, go daddy." And I was like,
can they just shut up?
Okay, guys, you know what? I can't stop. I'm just going to be high-fiving you. I can't stop. At another stop where I saw my family, it looked like, a Powerade, the purple one. It looked like methylated spirits. I'm like, why are these people trying to give me methylated spirits? And
you're hallucinating. Oh no, bona basi. Big new.
Till this day, there's a purple Powerade. I don't touch it.
They tried to kill me. You're hallucinating.
What is this thing? And I finished Comrades. When I finished, right, marched through the stadium, I couldn't walk afterwards.
Wow.
With those blisters. And now it's already tough. The fact that you're now getting into a point where you now need to recover. That following it was around about 5 days. Yeah, I wasn't walking. I was bedridden.
Wow.
With my feet up. And that's when I realized that Comrades is pretty much the ultimate human race. And I'm going back next year.
You're going back next year.
To avenge
after
myself.
that, or to
after
avenge
that,
yourself.
I'm going to avenge myself.
So, when you finished the race, what was the first thing that went through your mind, and how did it feel?
How it felt, and here's the thing. Before the race, the training was grueling because it was right through the winter.
Yes.
So this time around, Comrades was in August. It was very tough. It was my first set of training around Comrades. It was cold mornings and sometimes very cold evenings. Running with a carbon monoxide Yamatix, and everyone trying to rush home. So it was very tough, and I thought to myself, when I finish this race, I'm going to cry. I didn't shed a tear. I think the pain already of running with those blisters, I think the tears were internal more than anything, because I pretty much likened it to several struggles that I'd been through. And it was just another symbol of a struggle that I'd just conquered. And yeah, I didn't cry.
Was your family at the finish line?
My family was at the finish line. They were very proud. I must say, they were very proud.
How was it seeing them at the finish line?
I'd seen them prior to the finish line trying to give me methylated spirits. But
Yeah.
But when I saw them right in the stadium, I was very happy because I was done.
Yeah.
Okay, so I liken it to pretty much a lot of the struggles that I've actually gone through in my, my personal capacity, and how I've actually conquered and moved ahead. Just a reminder that that particular race is like any journey that a human can actually go through and conquer. Out in the end. I mean, post Comrades, there were other endeavors as well.
So did you then go through a process, and sorry, did you now go through a process where after you finished the ultimate human race, after you conquered once again another struggle, right, and doing the ultimate, which is the Comrades, did you feel untouchable? Did you feel that there's nothing I can't now achieve? And those the pain, the tears, the psychological triumph that you went through, did you now take that and carried on with your life?
I took that with me and I ran.
Love it.
I took that with me and I ran. And the reason is I've had so many other struggles. I mean, my running has actually segued into other sports through which I've met you gentlemen. Like a triathlon. Just a little bit of a background story. I lost my youngest brother when I was 16 to a drowning, in a pool. From then on, I'd never started swimming again up until, I was actually thinking to myself, let me go and do a triathlon, being Ironman. And from then on, I said to myself, I'm going to conquer. Going forward from here on, I've done the worst. You know what? I think I can do best. That's part of me saying I am actually living.
When you're talking about you're talking about Comrades and running the race and completing that, and realizing that it was almost similar to some of the worst struggles that you've gone through. Was losing your brother one of those struggles?
Definitely was. It definitely was. And we speak of traumas. Growing up, that was one of the most traumatic experiences that I've actually had in my life. It kind of cemented the fact that if you were not doing something to challenge yourself, you were not truly living. And life is not a given each and every day, which then means you need to go and live it. It was a big switch. It was a big switch. That has been my mantra, to say, you're not living if you're not doing something that actually challenges you.
Every day.
Each and every single day. And try as best. Some days you may just be too tired. But the rest in itself, when you're tired, it actually is part of the journey for you to get to where you need to get to.
You fight to live another day. It's those constant battles that you have with yourself, with your own demons, etc., and with your own struggles, and you always fight to live another day. You've then decided that obviously it must have been a huge thing losing your brother, especially to a drowning, and now you have to get into a pool to train for a triathlon, and eventually get into the deep blue sea to do the ultimate races in itself. How much healing did that actually give to you, to say that, did you in some way feel like I'm actually doing this for my brother, or was there something that you attached to that when you eventually started doing your
Definitely. I'll use the big English words. My data bundles are still okay. Cathartic experience.
Yes.
Because I was actually out in one of the Ironman races, and I was out in the big green sea. Despite it being blue, it was green. And at some point, I had started cramping, and I thought of pulling out. And I said to myself, gather yourself and your thoughts and your reasons for actually doing this. It's pretty much to challenge yourself. And it wasn't a day where I was actually going to quit. For me, it just became clearer to say, you're not panicking, you're very calm. It's the big blue sea. You can still swim to shore. And that, for me, is the next level of a mindset where you can actually conquer your fears, find calm in the storm or the rough seas, if you will. Gather yourself and then just get things done.
Yeah, so just to put that into perspective, you went out and after, obviously you wanted a bigger challenge after finishing a couple of Comrades, and you wanted to train for an Ironman. It was half Ironman at the beginning of this year. And you finished the swim but didn't make the cutoff time, right? Were there any lessons learned there? How did that feel? You know, having come from finishing 3 Comrades, and then going into this and finishing the swim but not making the cutoff. How was that for you?
For me, I actually said to myself, you know what? Talent can only take you so far. You need to go back to the drawing board and graft. So you need to go back and work even harder. You know, and the harder you work, the easier things kind of get. So, I mean, even looking at the swim itself, it's all got to do with practice. Hard work. It's like a dance. You know, there's always room to actually improve. You know, for me, it has always been, you know what, you can actually do this. You just need to practice each and every day. Where you get an opportunity and work harder. Because you'll be writing it to your memory. You'll be writing it to your nervous system. Next time you get in the pool, you'll feel like a fish. You know, I mean, I even swim during winter because I feel I need to put in the work. I will then, you know, get the results that I want to get. You know, at the end of the day, and that's how I'm now programmed. Because certain endurance sports like your Comrades have actually instilled that work ethic. Say, look, you know, some of these things you even need to do by yourself. In your own spare time, go work.
So with everything that you've done and everything that you've achieved and these huge mountains that you've now conquered, what's next? You know, what's next? What's that next step into Craig Hall Park from Soweto and you know, being sent to Kliptown? So, you know, what are you looking forward to in the future?
So, what I'm actually looking forward to in the future, in the near future, is pretty much finishing a full Ironman. That's a big challenge that I've actually placed on myself. It is a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work, but you know what? I'm making the time for it. Definitely making the time to actually finish one full one.
You're going to do it, but you're going to do it.
Thank you very much for your time and sharing. And very sorry to hear about your brother. And, you know, I know, you know, a campaign around swimming and learn to swim and swim safety is certainly something that we're looking to raise awareness around, because we don't have a lot of facilities or any exposure or access, especially in the hoods.
Yeah, look, I think you know, your story has been absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much. You know, and I think as you said, it's once again cathartic. I like that word. It was quite cathartic to sit there.
You did say, I'm going to hoy a big word. It's coming.
I want to find my English data bundles. They're still available. It is quite cathartic listening to your story, and you know, for me, the most beautiful thing about what you said is the fact that you say, you know, imagine if all of the guys that I grew up with, or everyone that's in the township or that's in the hood, had the same opportunity to be able to see that other world and open up opportunity for them, you know, because that's, and unfortunately so many people never get to see and live beyond, you know, that life beyond that fence, beyond, you know, Gasi, beyond that life. You know what I mean? And the world is such a huge place, you know, and you say we live in our own little world. There's Mars, there's Jupiter, there's this. And I think for me, that's just juxtaposing to the fact that there are so many things out there that we deprive ourselves of or can't get access to just because we're not exposed.
Yeah.
So expose yourself to anything and everything and live beyond yourself, and you'll see what a beautiful place and the world actually is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Definitely.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah.